Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back for another OPTC video, and in today's video, we'll be into the Garp challenges using the new V3 Blackbeard, the dual unit Blackbeard that has come with the 3 new legend releases over here on the global side of the game. And in today's video, we'll be taking on the Garp challenges Navy and Hody. Now, I haven't included Eneru for the same reason as the Moria video. If you guys want to check that out, I'll leave a little card at the top of the video, or just link will be in the description. The big reason I didn't incorporate that particular Garp challenges, it's been out for a little while, but the big reason is there's not a lot of driven powerhouse units or, int-driven powerhouse units that can actually remove special bind that also have fear resistance. It's definitely doable with like Shirasheri, V1 Shirasheri, or the limited rare recruit Nami, the one from like the Straw Hat event that's come out. It's like her at Arlong Park. I think you guys know the one. She's an in unit, but other than that, there's not many units that can remove special bind and have fear. But Shirahoshi Mancherry V1 actually works the best. But before we jump into today's video, let's talk about what this Blackbeard actually does. So unfortunately, Blackbeard is a dual unit that wants to be a captain, and that's his biggest downfall. There's a few knocks I have with this particular unit, but he's not terrible. He's just not amazing. So his special will boost the chain multiplier by 0.1. And if the captain is driven or powerhouse, he extends the duration of crew's attack and slot effects by 1 turn. Now that particular ability kind of sucks. It's not really used that much, but it is very actually handy in these Garp challenges. When the special is launched, he becomes the double character Blackbeard overwhelming 2 powers for a number of turns based on the damage received from enemies. Minimum 3 turns, maximum 8 for 50,000 damage. So if you take 50,000 damage, you're going to have his dual form for 8 turns, which is really, really good. His dual form is amazing, but he does obviously have 2 forms. So in his dual form, he's a 5 times captain to driven powerhouse and HP by 1.75. He reduces his own special charge by 2 turns at the start of the next turn after receiving damage. He does a 10% HP cut at the start of each battle that ignores all defensive effects and normal attacks only. And then when the crew launches specials with damage nullification, threshold, or damage reduction, he converts that into a double attack boost for driven and powerhouse characters for 1 turn. So even if it's a 3-turn defense up, he's always just going to turn it into 1 turn of 2 times attack, which kind of sucks. I would have loved if it was just like, if it's a 3-turn damage reduction, he gives you 3 turns of attack, which would have made this guy infinitely better in my opinion. But that's his dual form, which you do see a lot of, as the idea is you do want to be in his dual form for as long as possible. He does have a very good switch ability, however, and that actually hinders him because you want to be in his dual form, but you also want access to this switch ability. He reduces slot bind and despair on himself, special bind and despair, and changes block orb into matching. But obviously, if you get despaired in his dual form, you can't just switch to remove that, which kind of sucks. So Blackbeard does have 2 forms, however. So he has his Yami fruit, so the terrifying power of darkness. The special is obviously the same, but in his Yami form, he's a 4 times captain to driven powerhouse, 1.75 HP. He'll increase the damage you receive by 1.5 and half the crew's recovery. But he will reduce his own special charge by 2 turns at the start of the next turn after receiving damage, and then he has that effect where obviously the damage reduction effects become attack boosts. When he is in his Goro no Mi, I think that's what it's called, the Quake fruit, he is a 4 times captain once again. But instead of getting the cooldowns, he'll actually do that 10% HP cut. So as you guys can see, you really want him to be in his dual form. And obviously, if you take 50,000 damage, this guy has over 100,000 HP on his team, you get despaired, something like that, you're easily going to get the 8 turns, no issues whatsoever. So as I mentioned in today's video, we are taking on Navy and Hody. And with that said, let's dive in. Alright, so we're starting over here on Navy, and this is the team, these are the supports, let's dive in. So, before we actually continue this video, something that I forgot to mention in the intro is, I do not recommend using Moria and Blackbeard for these Garp challenges. They are good units, but it is very limited selection when it comes to team building with these guys. Namely because if you want to run a mono in team, you have to still bring driven powerhouse units. Sort of similar to Akainu, but Akainu can get away with it just because he's such a broken unit. Where Blackbeard and Moria, they kind of can't, because they can't do the same things that Akainu can do. They are still good, but they're just not on that level that Akainu has. And team building for these guys, for these Garp challenges, when you're trying to stay as a mono in team, can be a little bit tricky. But we did manage to get it done, and for the first part of the video, we are taking on Navy. And I really wanted to showcase Moria and Blackbeard on the same team somewhere in these videos, so I decided to implement it here. Now, Moria is Blackbeard's best friend. He gives the damage threshold buff, so that turns into 2 times attack, and then he's a 2.5 times orb booster driven in powerhouse units. You get the carryover effect, you get the color affinity as well. So he's an amazing sub, namely for Blackbeard. Blackbeard, obviously not a great sub for him, but he works amazingly on the Blackbeard team. And that's why I do think Moria is just infinitely better than Blackbeard. Once we hit stage 3, though, we get into the crux of this Garp's challenge. We come up against Kobe and Helmeppo. They have 2 turns of Threshold, and they turn all recovery orbs into block, as well as giving us 2 turns of Hunger. So with the Big Mom special and the Daifuku support, or the Otama support, whichever one you guys have, as long as you can give yourself some recovery orbs, that's the main goal here. We're then going to remove the Threshold with the Doflamingo special, the rare recruit that came out with V2 Blackbeard, funny enough. And then we can eat those recovery orbs, do some damage, and take out this particular stage. Make sure you have double special activation on that Dofi as well, because you are going to need that special later on in the fight. Once we get to the next stage, we come up against Hina, Tashigi, and Smoker. Now, because we get the carryover of the orb boost with Big Mom, we're actually going to have an orb buff. Unfortunately, they give us block unfavorable or bomb orbs, but with the switchability of Blackbeard, they can actually give themselves 2 matching orbs. And with the support of Lafitte, we can remove the 2 turns of Despair and 2 turns of the Bind. Now, the Despair is not too bad because we can just remove that with the switchability of Blackbeard. But then we're going to use a Blackbeard special. Beautiful. That special is very clean, I gotta say. But using the Blackbeard special is not only going to give us the 1.0 chain boost, but it's also going to extend that orb buff as our captain is driven powerhouse, which is really, really nice. And just with those 2 matching orbs, we can actually take out both Hina and Tashigi. Make sure to take out Tashigi, should be the primary goal there. And then on the next turn, we can focus on Smoker. Make sure to switch you to Blackbeard, that way you actually give yourself a matching orb. And hopefully you guys will pick up some matching orbs, unlike myself, which I actually got fairly unlucky. But don't stress, if you need to take an extra turn on Smoker like I do, it's really not that big of a deal. You can use the Blackbeard special there if you want to, the other Blackbeard special, to guarantee the kill. But I do find using the Blackbeard special on the next turn is a little bit more viable. So we're going to take out Smoker here and move on to the next stage against Kizaru. Against Kizaru, he makes it harder to hit perfects and has a 2-hit perfect barrier. He is a dex unit and has full immunity. And that's about it. But the most annoying part about this particular stage is just breaking those barriers as he makes it harder to hit perfects. And with this particular team using the Magello ship, we actually don't have a way to make perfects easy to hit. But you could easily run the Zunisha. Unfortunately, Dofi won't get boosted, but that's not a big issue. What we're going to do on this particular stage, we're going to use our page 1 special, the Colosseum page 1. Colosseum page 1 is going to give us an attack boost because he normally gives us damage reduction, as well as a chain lock, a 3 times chain lock, which is really, really nice. Then we can use the Blackbeard special to become our dual form once again, and that way we can actually take out Kizaru easy peasy. Now that I'm thinking about it, using the Blackbeard special against Smoker is actually way more viable. I don't know what I was talking about there. When we move on to the next stage, however, we come up against, what's his name? Fuji. Against Fuji, we get those HP cuts, which is very, very nice. The 10%, it's not a huge HP cut, but it's definitely a nice little chunk of damage. With Fuji, he gives us 4 tap bonus, so we can only attack with 4 units, which is a little bit annoying. So this is where we're going to use our Moria special. Now, ideally, throughout the run, you want to try and farm up the Big Mom versatility. It's a little bit hard to do, but ideally, you want to try and have that versatility ready to go and use it on this particular stage. If you don't have it, it's not the end of the world, but utilizing the Big Mom special here will actually give us some healing. It is more important on the Hody stage that we get the Big Mom versatility, but for this particular fight, it's just nice to get that healing back, as Blackbeard has a lot of HP pool, a massive HP pool. We are going to hang around on this particular stage until the girls hit 89 turns, so I'll see you guys there. Alright, so we're at the 89 turn mark now, and we have farmed up some orbs, and we're going to move on to the final stage against a Kainu. So now against a Kainu, what you kind of want to do on the previous turn is actually use the Blackbeard specials. You want to use the Blackbeard specials, at least your Blackbeard special, so that way you can be the dual form, as you can only use 2 specials here, but that also depends on your cooldown. So with me, I actually was missing 1 cooldown on page 1. I just don't think I've maxed him out with his limit break. I might be wrong there. So I wanted to save the Blackbeard special, namely so I could actually get the chain boost. We're going to wrap it up with the Big Mom special, giving us a 2.25 times attack boost. And with that, we actually have enough damage to take out Akainu here, purely because we had those HP cuts as well. Just remember, Akainu does give you burn. You do want to hit your 3 perfects, but just remember he does give you burn. But with our team, we have color affinity, because Akainu turns into the opposite color to our captain. It just works so nicely that we can actually take him out. And thanks to those HP cuts, it means that we can hit some grades at the end. Once Akainu dies, he revives with 2 turns of threshold. So this is where we're going to use our page 1 special, because we managed to get that back. And then we're going to use the Dofi special to remove the threshold and give us color affinity as well. With that, we've got a chain lock, we've got orb boost, we've got attack boost. Literally, Akainu just melts on the revive. And it actually works really, really well. So that was V3 Blackbeard taking on Navy. Let's move on to Hody now. Alright, so moving on to Garp Challenge Hody now. This is the team, these are the supports, and let's dive in. So the only notable support is actually Halloween Lore. The rest are just stat boosters. Halloween Lore on Jinbei is actually very, very important because we don't have an orb booster for this particular team, besides Big Mom on this, on the second turn. But other than that, we actually don't have an orb boost, so using the support of Halloween Lore actually works really, really nicely, and provided the character actually does damage, you're actually going to get that effect. With this particular team, Blackbeard doesn't really have the luxury that Moria has to use the super type and get cooldowns, so we are actually going to have to tank a shot. But in my opinion, I found Hody to be way easier than Navy was. For Navy, I did manage to beat it without Moria, but it was not fun, to be honest. It wasn't fun at all. So getting Hody done was a lot easier. And what I would recommend doing is switching with your Blackbeards on turn 1, so that way you get the HP cut on stage 2. With that, you can actually take out this whole stage in one turn, but what I would recommend doing is just making sure that you take out Hody. Hody is the most important, and then you can focus on the rest of them. So if Hody's on a 1-turn cooldown, just make sure to take him out. But any characters that are on a 2-turn cooldown, definitely take your time here. I know you can wipe the stage in 1 turn, but take your time, because we do want to farm up the Big Mom's versatility. Getting the Big Mom versatility for this particular run is actually very, very important, and this is the particular stage to do it. On stage 3, we come up against this Velociraptor-looking Fishman and 3 of his Fishman friends, and they've all got slot barriers. Now, the beautiful thing about V3 Blackbeard is V3 Blackbeard actually has barrier pen, so we can easily take out one of the units in the back, provided we get a nice matching orb, and then we can rely on the barrier pen. I actually missed a perfect, so we do a lot less damage here. But with the barrier pen that Vasco shot, as well as the 2 Blackbeards have through their barrier pen, we can actually focus on taking on that Velociraptor-looking guy after that. On this particular stage, though, what I would highly recommend doing if you are trying this team, or you are trying to use Blackbeard with Big Mom, is farming up that Big Mom versatility. Farming up that Big Mom versatility is actually really, really key, as we actually need her healing to actually stay alive, as we do need to tank a shot against Hody. It's probably not super essential. I imagine there's other ways around it, or there's other teams that Blackbeard can use to do this, but I did find that utilizing the versatility of Big Mom was very, very handy and helped out a lot. So just be careful. What I like to do here is I like to keep one of the Fishmen in the back alive, just to farm up as many recovery and TND orbs as I possibly can. These guys literally do not do anything after you kill them. Sorry, if you don't kill them. But the Velociraptor-looking guy, he'll actually bind 2 of your random units, every sort of 3 to 4 turns, which is a little bit more annoying in my opinion, but it's not that bad, but he does more damage. That is another thing. So we did manage to grab some more meat orbs. Once you get Big Mom's 2 or 3 on the cooldown, you can pretty much move on. I think I get her down to 2. Do I get her down to a 2-turn cooldown? Because you don't really want to take too much damage on this stage as well. So just be mindful of that. Oh, I got very lucky there. That was very, very nice. You don't want to take too much damage here. I do recommend sort of once you get to 70,000-ish HP, that's probably when you want to move on. Every time you move on to a new stage, I'd highly recommend being the Quake Fruit variation of Blackbeard. That way you're guaranteed to get the HP cuts no matter what. Once we get to the next stage, though, we come up against his Hyuma. Wow. Yeah, Hyozo and, I don't know where Hyuma from. Hyozo and Vanderdecken. They give us a forward of block, unfavorable, and bomb orbs, and that's where the switch ability of Blackbeard is so damn strong here, because we can actually remove the block orbs on our captains. Then we're going to use one of the Blackbeard specials. That's going to give us that chain buff, and then we can actually take out Vanderdecken and do a lot of damage to Hyozo. On the next turn, we're actually going to switch back into our Quake Fruit of Blackbeard, use the next Blackbeard special. Okay, we're not going to use the next Blackbeard special, apparently. Okay. That's weird. I think I just did enough damage to not worry about it. Definitely make sure you switch, though. I don't know why I didn't switch there. I think it was just a bit of a blunder. But make sure to switch with your Blackbeard, so that way you have the Quake variation. Once we do hit the next stage, we come up against Dosan and Zeo. Against Dosan and Zeo, they become super typings, which means we can't do as much damage to them if we do have color affinity, but lucky for us, we don't have color affinity. They put up 4 turns of threshold as well, and Dosan's always on a 3-turn cooldown. We're going to switch back into our Quake Flute version of Blackbeard, use his special to become the captain, get that 5 times multiplier. We can remove the threshold with Vasco Shot, and because Vasco Shot actually gives us an attack boost, or a damage reduction, we actually get an attack boost with Blackbeard. So that way we've got a chain boost, we have an attack buff, and we've removed the threshold. We're going to lock our orbs because we got some really good orbs there, but you don't have to do that, as you do want to try and farm a few orbs on Dosan. Now, the beautiful thing about this particular content and Blackbeard is the poison that you actually get on the Hyozu stage does damage to you every single turn, which means you actually get cooldowns with Blackbeard. So it's actually pretty cool, because Blackbeard can just keep clocking down cooldowns, and that way you can get back his special very, very easily. Once we do get Dosan very, very low, this is where you want to use the Big Mom versatility. Utilizing the Big Mom versatility here just means that we can eat the souls of our enemies, which means we get a lot of HP. Because it's for 3 turns, we can actually carry it into this stage against Daruma and Icarus Smudge. Now, against Icarus Smudge and Daruma, they give us that Orb Seal mechanic, and they give us like 4 turns of burn. So on this particular stage, this is where you want to try and have as many orbs as you possibly can. But don't stress too much, because we are going to have to hit some perfects here. We're going to use the Big Mom special to give ourselves a 2.25 times attack boost. No, we're not. We're going to save that, apparently. I did this run differently before I recorded it, and I remembered that I wanted to change to page 1. So we're actually going to use the page 1 special. Page 1 is actually going to give us a attack boost, because he normally gives us damage reduction, as well as giving us a chain lock. And with that, we can actually just destroy that entire stage. And with the versatility of Big Mom live, we can actually turn both of them into souls to eat. If you can't take out Dosan, sorry, not Dosan, Daruma. Sorry if I was saying Dosan. If you can't take out Daruma as well, you just really want to focus on taking out Icarus. He's the most important. On the final stage, we come up against Hody. Now, against Hody, he has 2 turns of damage reduction, rolls back our specials by 2 turns, which goes down to 1 with preemptives, and then he Sailor Blinds us, so we actually can't get special reverse or anything like that. So we are just going to tank a shot here. He does hit us for like 20-something thousand, I think it is, so as long as you got around 30,000 HP, you will be fine to actually tank this shot. Once we tank the shot against Hody, he actually puts up damage reduction as well. So once he puts up that damage reduction is where we're going to start doing our damage. We can use the Jinbei special to remove both the defensive effects that Hody puts on himself, and with the support of Law, we can get an orb boost as well. We will get an attack boost with Big Mom, which is really, really nice, 2.25, which is great. And then we can actually use the Blackbeard special to give us a chain buff mechanic and become that 5 times captain. So let's finish it off with this beautiful Blackbeard special. Wonderful. So make sure you have both your Blackbeards in their dual form, so you get the double 5 times captain. So you can use the other special if need be. And with that, we can easily take out Hody, no issues whatsoever. So there you guys go. That was Blackbeard versus the Garp's challenges. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. And if you did, make sure to go down there and belt the like button for me if you're new to the channel too. Hit that big red subscribe button. But guys, wherever you are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, I thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Lates!